Hey, what's going on? It's Miguel here, and today we're going to be going over how to handle think about it objections. And right there, as you see, I said just change decision making patterns, and really, that's what I'm going to be giving you. It's honestly just coming down to changing decision making patterns for these individuals. This isn't like a specific word track that it's like, oh, I'm going to approach every single conversation with the same exact wording, despite the context being different. If you genuinely think that, you might be a little retarded. Okay, so definitely don't do that. You're going to want to think of this as a framework. So that way, not only can you handle think about it objections, but you can really use this to handle any objection in general. But today we're going to be doing this focusing on the think about it objections, because who the fuck doesn't get think about it objections? Right. So the problem with most sales training is and what other trainers are saying is it's always a smoke screen. Just try to find the real objection. But the reality is sometimes it is a smoke screen, but sometimes people just genuinely have a pattern of needing time before decisions, and we must overcome that way of thinking itself, right? Because that is the problem at the foundation is the way they make decisions is the reason they are in the position they are in the first place, and we need them to understand that. All right. So that means we have two situations to handle, right? There's scenario one, which is the smoke screen. This is a quick fix for like price shocks or deflection. And then scenario two is their decision-making process. This is a deeper pattern that requires reframing their entire approach, right? So scenario one is a smoke screen. So when after you pitch price and they immediately say, I need to think about it, your response is, oh man, not a problem. If I can ask, what's behind that between you and I? And the way you would actually say this is like, I mean, not a problem. And if I could ask, like, what's behind that between you and I? I just kind of chop that a little bit, but you get the point, right? So once again, oh man, not a problem. And if I can ask, like, I guess what's behind that between you and I? And then they'll give you the real objection here. And then you can overcome that normally. And that's how you would handle the smoke screen, right? So that's scenario one. So then they would be like, oh, it's just a lot of money. And then you can handle the money, right? Or if it's like, oh, I actually need to go talk to my wife. I think that's a bullshit excuse, but that's for another video. You can go ahead and tackle that. Because at the end of the day, man, it really always comes down to the money, right? If they need to think about it, they're going to think about the money. If they need to talk to their partner, they're going to talk about the money. Because if it was free, then they would buy it, right? And if they actually think this can get them to where they want to go, and it was free, they would purchase it, right? And if they don't think that can get them to where they go, then you just fucking suck at sales. Okay, you need to quit or buy training or some shit. Anyway, scenario two, decision-making process, right? So this is like the one that we're really trying to get into, like the core, think about it, right? So usually they respond with, that's just how I make decisions, man. This is just who I am as a person. So now they're labeling themselves, so this is how they traditionally make decisions, and that's fine if they want to keep getting what they want to get. But at the end of the day, they're on this call because they want to make a change. So we need them to understand that the reason they are in the position they are in the first place is because of this, right? So we usually want to handle this in a pre-handle, like beforehand, right? And that's usually what we try to do here. But if you did get this at the end of the call, if you like pre-handled something else and this just came up, the solution would be use the complete reframe structure to change their thinking pattern. And this reframe is used, like I said, in the pre-handling, but it can also be used now at the objection stage. And if you don't know what I'm talking about with pre-handling, that's completely fine. I'll make a video separately on that. So here's the reframe structure, right? So every effective reframe has four components. Frame, establish the logic. Two is pushback, so challenge their resistance. And then three is consequence. Show what happens if nothing changes, right? We're going to future pace. Okay, if you don't change anything about this, what's going to happen? Oh, we'll stay in the same position. Right, and then obviously they don't want that, so then we'll come to a CTA where we'll pitch and try to close them again. So step one is the frame. Let's break this down, right? So you're going to be like, is that usually how you make these type of decisions? Done. Yes. Fair enough, man. And would you agree the mindset that we have shapes how we make decisions? Yes. And that decision-making process, man, like, do you feel like that affects the results we've gotten up to this point and the results we'll continue to get? Well, yeah, of course. Well, now you've set the frame, right? And what the purpose of this is to have them understand, like, they've been making these decisions, and because of their mindset, that's why they make these decisions. And this decision-making process, that's affected the results they've gotten, and ultimately, it's going to dictate where they go. So now that we've made the association that your mindset dictates your results, right? Or your mindset dictates your decision-making process, and your decision-making process dictates the results you want, right? So that being said, they're not where they want to be at, and this is where we establish part B in the frame, right? So then we hit them with, out of curiosity, On a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being you're making $100,000 a month in straight commission, you're the best in the world, everybody looks up to you, you're able to provide for everybody around you, you have the lifestyle you want to live, and 1 being you haven't really done anything, right? You're just average, you haven't progressed, and you're not able to live the life you want to live. Where do you feel you lie at at this moment in terms of your sales career? Oh, I'm a 4. That's usually the number they throw out. So once again, coming back to this previous slide, we had them, no, not there. Fucking hell. All right, so we had them frame the association between mindset, decision-making, ultimately getting their results. Then we made them understand this is where we're currently at, and we're in a position at a 4 when we want to be at a 10. So now we're helping them create the gap in their mind. And then we get into the third part of the frame, right? So now they understand decision-making dictates results, and that their current decision-making has led them to where they're at, which is a 4 out of 10, even though they want to be at a 10 out of 10. So then make them justify to you, like, why they're at where they're at, right? So like, why a 4? Why not 10? Because I've been trying this for so long and I just can't figure it out. I don't know what to do. Okay, yeah, so if your current mindset and current way of thinking, of making decisions, has put you in a position where you feel like you're a 4 out of 10 in your career, are you really willing to allow that same way of thinking and the same way of making decisions to shape your finances, your career, not only that, but your family and everything else moving forward? No. So now we've established, like, okay, the reason you're not where you want to be at is because of your mindset, and the way they've completely established the gap. Right. And now now they're open to a solution because they understand if they continue to have this happening, they're going to be where they're at. And this is where they're open to you giving them a new perspective on things. And then you can continue being in with the pushback. Well, why not, man? And like the purpose of the pushback is to like really make them establish their like where they're at. Like nothing changes. So I'll stay the same. And ultimately they don't want that. So we want them to articulate that themselves. Because if we tell them nothing changes, it's bullshit. But if they say it, it's the truth. Right? So that's when we go into, well, why not, man? Because reality is you can be like, no, I'm okay with that being my reality. I'm okay with keeping the same way of thinking. Why actually draw that line in the sand and make that change today? And that's something I would usually add into here is today or now. Because that also adds urgency. Not that there isn't enough urgency here, but I always like to add today and now whenever I can because it's a psychological trigger. Right? Like, oh, today? Yeah, right. But it's subtle, right? It's not like you need to do this today. Only on sale $9.97 today, right? No bullshit like that. And then they're going to be like, because I know if nothing changes, and I'm not okay with staying in the same position. And then you get into consequence, right? So coming back here, just so we understand. We're having them establish that decision-making is tied to their mindset, and then the decision-making that we're having right now is ultimately dictating our results. Then we have them establish that we are not in the position we want to be within our results. Then we had them justify or have them clarify, like, that they don't want to be in this situation, right? And like they've been in here for a certain amount of time. Okay, it sounds like a fucking retard right now. But basically, at this point in the frame, they're basically explaining why they're in the position they want to be at, and it's tied to their current decision-making process, their mindset, right? Because they've been trying for so long, can't figure it out. I don't know what to do. Okay, so now you're going to be like, once again, this could be anything. They could give you anything right here, but ultimately we just want them to establish, like, explain themselves and justify their positioning. All right, that might have been a horrible explanation, but I hope you get the point. So if you're in your current mindset making decisions, once again, we're having them establish, like, are you really going to let this dictate your life, your current decision making? And they're like, no. So now you're pushing them away from their current decision. So like, let's say this is where they need to act, how they need to act in order to get to their goals, and this is how they've been acting. At the beginning of the call, they're clamped to this identity and this person, right? And the purpose of this is to get them drifted further away from this to where they'd be open to this mindset that ultimately gets them to their goal, which is ultimately buying the program and investing into themselves, which is what we want, and it's also going to be benefiting them, right? Hopefully your program doesn't suck. Okay, and then we come into the pushback, right? Once again, they say nothing changes, and I'm not okay with staying in the same spot. Make them clarify that they don't want to be in the same position in their own words. Don't tell them. And then we're going to get into consequence. What happens if they don't make a change, right? Yeah, because what do you think would happen if you were okay with staying in the same position, right? And so you decided, no, I'm not going to keep the same way of thinking that's put me in this position and let it dictate my future moving forward. What do you think the future would look like at that point? I don't even know if I said that right because I'm reading this. Usually I'll just go off the top of my head. And then nothing would change, man. I would stay in the same position. I still wouldn't be able to provide for my family or get to the 20K a month in commission. Now they've established that their current way of thinking, if they continue doing this, nothing would change. They would stay in the same position and they would not be able to do what they want with their life and provide for their family. And then you give them a call to action, right? This is your CTA. This is when you go for the close again. So once again, we've kind of established like this type of person where they need to be or to hit their goals. This person probably moves forward today, right? And this person who stays where they're at doesn't. So you need to understand like this mindset over here that's going to help them get to their goals is different than this one. And you need to come to this mindset if you actually want to get your goals, right? So then you would say, hey, so what decision do you feel like you need to make, man? Like, so when your head hits the pillow tonight, you know that today you did everything in your power to get to that 20K a month in commissions, change the way you make decisions so that way you can provide better for you and your family. I need to do it. Result, the sale made, collect payment. Right, and then obviously you can come into reloops and stuff right here that they give you some bullshit. But, you know, you could go into fear or some other shit, right? But that's besides the point. That's what we're handling right now. So usually that's the whole objection handling framework. And like I said, this can work for any fear objection, any type of pussy mindset shit. This works, okay? But you really need to understand the fundamentals. Like I would rewatch this, replay it, revisit it, because a certain word track, as I said, isn't going to work for everyone, but a framework does. Like for example, you can put me on any offer, and we'll stay particularly within the B2C biz ops space, right? Because that's an easy money printer offer if you get on a good one. And that's where most of us are going to be on, right? But you can put me on any one of those because the vehicle changes, but the end result stays the same. And I know how to reverse engineer that path using a certain framework every single time. Same thing with objections. And this works across all industries. Okay, but obviously our focus right now is within high ticket and info. So there's also another path you could get, right? Whenever you ask them, like, what are you on a scale of 1 to 10? They'll give you some shit like an 8 out of 10, right? It's complete bullshit. You get this every now and then. So have them like understand they're really not there, and like this is where you really want them to get like understand the gap, right? Because this eight getting them from an 8 to a 10 is not enough of a gap, right? You want them to understand they're really like a 5 or less, right? So if they said 8 instead of a low number, you'll usually get some 7s and 8s every now and then. Like, okay, so if you're an 8, what's a 10? Then a 10 is like 100K a month and being the perfect human being. Okay, so if that's a 10 and you feel like you're an 8, like what's a 0, man? Like, and a damn tombstone dead or what? Oh, okay, you're right. I guess more like a 4. Then you would continue on with the normal process. All right, just a quick way to handle that because sometimes you will get this. So we're going to go into why this works. Is you only need agreement on 2 things: way of making decisions shape results we get. Mindset shapes the way we make decisions, and the connection is taking time to make decisions is their mindset, and then that ultimately gets them no results. So the psychological result is they want to push away from that decision making pattern and step into a more successful one. So this is a universal application, right? This framework works for any objection. Like if this feels expensive, their mindset and perspective. Oh, I don't have the time. Their mindset. They could have more time. They could find it. Okay, look at your screen time right now. Oh, 6 hours a day. What if you cut out 3 of those hours in order to blah, 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 blah. Or you can be like, people get resourceful and you can do that mindset. I need to think about it. Their decision-making process. Core principle, their way of making decisions has gotten them bad results. Therefore, they must change it. So here's some key takeaways. Not every think about it is a smokescreen. Sometimes you must change your decision-making this Use this 4-step reframe structure. Frame, pushback, consequence, and then call to action to reclose them. Get an agreement that mindset shapes decisions and decision shape results. And this principle applies to every single objection. So once again, practice does make perfect. Remember, understanding the psychology is crucial for effectiveness. Practice the exact wording until it feels natural. Recite it over and over again. Focus on getting genuine agreement at each step and apply this framework to other objections you face. And if you master this one reframe, and you'll watch your close rate skyrocket and ultimately make a shit ton of money. So hope you all found this effective. If you need help applying this in real time, or if you're new to sales and you need guidance, go ahead and shoot me a DM on Instagram, and I'll be sure to point you in the right direction. Or better yet, if you're ready to like work with someone one-on-one, get placed on an offer if you're not already, and help closing deals, go ahead and reach out to me. Book a call down below, and I'll be sure to help you get going. Only if you're serious, though. I don't want people who aren't trying to change their life. Like if you're really serious about getting to the next level, let me know. That being said, I have other videos on my channel breaking down some sales shit, a little bit more about me, making 6 figs online at 21 off of the laptop. So if you're interested, go ahead and check that out. That being said, appreciate y'all for watching. Have a good one.